Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Kirbside Podcast. I am your host, Jay Kirby. And today we're sitting down with TikToker, D&D enthusiast, and hold on, let me see if I can do this right. The host of every exciting episode of That Shouldn't Work, the D&D game where I used to be able to do it. I'm sorry, I'm on the spot now. It's the only game I know of where I can describe a movie using only Dungeons and Dragons, and you have to figure out what it is in 5 clues or less.
Couldn't have done it better myself.
Oh man, I do that all the time during the regular job, and I had to do it this time. But
that. I feel like I should put a little trademark on that and maybe get 5 cents every time someone does
just
it.
A little bit, that 5 cents of work. But thank you all for joining us. As always, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, tap the little bell on your YouTube app so you never miss an upload, and buy the shirts at prowrestlingtees.com. So, Roosevelt, thank you for joining me. It's absolute pleasure. Love the content.
Well, thanks for having me, Jay. I really appreciate reaching out, and I'm so happy to be here to talk to a fellow enthusiast.
Yes. For everyone who watches the show, we're I'm not only a player, but we also stream the Kirbside game, which I didn't get to tell you the name of, which I love telling the name of. It is called Dice Hard with a Vengeance.
Oh.
And that is the exact reaction that the DM has every time I do the intro. He's like, I hate you that I have to be a part of that name. And then he goes and DMs amazing sessions.
Just props to that name. We have a thing at our table called pun points, where every time a player gets a particularly nasty pun that makes me want to just crawl into a hole and die, I keep a little tally board going behind the DM screen, and whoever has the most pun points at the end of the session normally has something terrible happen to them the next time.
No.
That's what
I would just be rolling new characters every week. Oh my goodness. I mean, I could share the story from my DMs or my D&D session literally yesterday, where our paladin has a steed who is this enormous warhorse, and so we just dubbed him Bo Jacked. Yeah, that's exactly the reaction.
Problem, though, is the question. Yeah, the horse has a drinking problem. That makes some interesting con and dex saves.
Oh my goodness.
But of course.
So I gotta ask, where did the fascination, where did the D&D origin story begin? Where did the love of the greatest game on the planet?
Yeah, honestly, that is what I would call it. Just because it gives you something that no other game in existence. I mean, yeah, the offshoots of D&D, these other role-playing games, they all bring their own thing to the table, but this is one that really got it all going. And for me, my D&D origin story, as you put it, which, by the way, I will be stealing that term.
Please do.
It's something that came on later in life. I had just moved back to my hometown, and coincidentally enough, I had a couple of folks from Utah also moved back home. And this was a kid I had grown up with, but he was like a few years older. And he reached out to me. We'd stayed like partially in touch throughout the years. And he reached out to me. He said, hey, Robo, which is childhood nickname. My wife and I are going to be starting a D&D game. Any interest in joining? And first I said, what's D&D? Which, should say something right there.
Absolutely.
Yep. And they walked me through basically what this is. And I have to preface that we are all retired theater kids.
Oh my. Oh, I want to sit on that session. I bet that's beautiful to watch.
Yep. We the tears are not uncommon at our table. We definitely go full into the whole character. But so 5th edition has been, thankfully, because I've looked into those past editions, and let me tell you, 5th edition was exactly the time I needed to come in, because oh my goodness, I was drowning in the rules as it was. Like, check, saves, what? Okay, so I need to roll this one to hit, and then I roll this one. I thought It was there we go. Sorry, hair in my face.
No problem.
And of course, I bet you can guess what my very first kind of character was, or at least the class, like an intro, easy to learn class.
Well, an easy to learn class is the one that I picked the most, which is fighter.
Oh, okay, very close, very very close. It was a human barbarian. I was yeah.
It's
Yeah.
close. That was
Hey,
very
you were
close.
very close. You were very close. No, it started off as a two-man campaign with the DM having a DMPC.
Mm-hmm.
And it basically was a glorified escort mission. It was a
Okay.
game that ran about 10 to 11 months. We had an opening theme for it that we played on the guitar before we
That's
did everything.
amazing.
Yep. The DM, my friend's wife, and like they're just my best friends now, because we've been playing for almost 4 years with each other. Like she's converting it into a novel as we speak.
That's awesome.
Yep. It's not the only game that we're doing that too, but
with the Dice Hard campaign, because the our DM, my brother Tim, he is both a voice actor and a writer. So as a voice actor, I told him, hey, use the podcast. I felt bad asking him to DM, and there's a whole story behind that. Because originally it was one of the members of the party who plays the barbarian. He's like, hey, me and this other guy who ends up playing our warlock, we're gonna start D&D campaign. This was like in the infancy of the podcast. Like I only had like maybe 3 or 4 interviews out, and I was like, well, can I'd love to play it, because I'd only played on and off for the past few years. I'd never actually gotten a full campaign. And 2, I need content. Do you mind if we record it? So then when they said yes, we started getting everything together, and then we're like, so who's gonna DM? And I was like, because I had invited my brother to play, and then he said, who's gonna DM? And I'm like, you're gonna make me ask this, man. You're gonna make me do it, aren't you? So I asked him, and he gave me that look. He's like, yeah, I can do it. But because he's a voice actor, he uses it as a platform to test out voices. And as a writer, he uses it to test out some ideas that he has
and all those good stuff. Yeah.
So he has discussed the idea of turning our campaign into a novel somewhere down the line.
Absolutely love it.
But I want to read yours. I definitely 100% when it gets put out.
With that DMs, with her permission, I will definitely go ahead and I'll share you the first couple of sessions in the chapter.
Please do.
They were the Heroes for Hire. Badger, who was a sorcerer and later on became a cleric as well, was my friend, and I was Rokir Unbroken, a 38-year-old overweight, bald, wild man who had a drinking problem, because every barbarian
has a drinking problem.
Yeah, no, we went full God of War too. Like he has the red tattoo on his face. X-Bandit belonged to the Red Band. It's a really on the nose name. Don't question it. But what was the best part about it was that at that point in time, so the daddy, Indian daddy, comes from the fact that I am in fact a father.
Right.
Yep. My daughter is 10 years old today. Yep. No, and she's a precocious little thing, 10 going on 30.
Oh no.
Which is me. So I'm 30 going on 10. It's like a little inverse ratio thing there. But so at this point in time, my daughter was 6 years old, and because of the custody arrangement, she was spending split time between her mother's and mine. And when she came to stay with me, I said, "Hey, sweetie, so Papa's playing this game. Would you like to sit in?" And she sat in on a session, and then she went, "Papa, can I play?" And I thought about it. And I thought about it. It's not my call, but I don't see why not. So my little 6-year-old daughter played a half goblin, half elf warlock, which called Merry Massacre. Her title Not
That definitely sounds like something a 10-year-old came up with. 100%.
Except she was 6 at the time, which is the
That's
scary thing.
the scary part.
And her favorite thing to do is that she wanted to find a unicorn, and she wanted to make bad guys go poof poof, which meant use flaming hands to literally just leave scorched outlines of her foes on the wall.
Oh my.
And she had so much fun. She got more and more into the character, and to this day she's played in more one-shot campaign, as many one-shot campaigns as I have. She's done 2 full campaigns, and then she's in this latest one as well. And she loves the game, and I love playing with her, and it's just something we get to do together. So
that's wonderful.
Yeah, but I'll definitely forward along the first chapters of The Hope of Calumnia.
Please do.
If the DM is down for it.
Love that. So I can see where the appeal came from, but where did the idea of That Shouldn't Work start?
Okay, I know the exact moment. And I have no shame in admitting that it was a completely ripped off idea. In part, it's not like it was a thing I saw on TikTok. It was one of those little Tumblr post memes that had popped up on my Instagram. And at this point in time, I had just started my summer job landscaping. So I was spending a lot of time scrolling through Instagram on the truck rides from place to place to place. And being really into D&D at this time, I found this cute little post, and it was a picture of Jack Black and Kyle Gass, with backlit.
Yes.
And above it, it simply said, Tenacious D in the Pick of Destiny is simply 2 bards on a quest to become multi-classed warlocks. Tell me I'm wrong.
I mean, you're not, though.
Exactly. And so I thought, all right, well, that's fun. So, like, are there any other parts of that movie that could be that could be applied to D&D terms? Let's think about it. And then that was the very first That Shouldn't Work. And I at that point in time, I think I had like maybe 4,000 followers or something like that. Like it wasn't a big number. I knew that it was enough that I could like stream if I wanted to. And I had done a couple of games on TikTok, but neither here nor there. And I posted it. I laughed at it. I showed a couple of my friends. We thought it was funny. I went to bed. Not a big deal. I wake up the next day and it blew up. It absolutely blew up. Like more than any other video I had made up to that point. So I went, oh, okay. So this is a niche. Let's try this with another movie. And while no other That Shouldn't Work has met the initial success as that very first one about Jack Black and the Pick of Destiny and all that good stuff, I just find it more and more hilarious how obscure you can get. And yet you will always have people posting saying, I knew it from the first comment. And I go, how? I didn't even know it from the first comment.
I've had a couple like that where I was like, oh, knew it for it's like one little thing that like gives it away. And I'm like, because on top of being a nerd, I'm a huge cinephile. Like I love movies. I love theater. When growing up, I wanted to be a writer and director. So like movies are my thing. So when I start hearing like, okay, 2 bards trying to get out of a warlock contract. Tenacious D?
Yep.
And there have been a couple that stump me.
Mostly movies you haven't seen, though, I would imagine.
Mostly. I think your most recent one that was I don't remember the movie, but I'm pretty sure it was a Miyazaki film. And I was like, it was Castle in the Sky. I was like, it
Favorite
sounds
Miyazaki
like
film,
nice, very well done. I was like, Howl's Moving Castle in the Sky. I was like, damn it, I was so close.
You were. Now that's the biggest danger at this point in time, because at this point in time, That Shouldn't Work, I think, is 80. It's either 84 or 85 episodes in. And at this point in time, it's not that I've run out of movies. It's that I've honestly forgotten what I've already done at this point in time.
Right.
So, I mean, thank God TikTok finally gave me the playlist function. I got that so late as opposed to everyone else. So I used to have to scroll through all of my content just trying to find. Okay, was this one? Okay, good. And sometimes I would stump myself. I would forget what the movie was, and I'm like, okay, I made this. This is embarrassing. I should know this. Yeah, and then of course, what's hilarious that I love that I still get suggestions for movies that I've already done, and one of the most popular ones is people saying, "Hey, you know, it'd be really, really funny if you did the 2002 Dungeons and Dragons movie."
Yep.
Ha, 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 ha. And I'm like, "Yeah, it was really funny." I mean, thanks for the suggestion. Don't get me wrong, I love the feedback, but I've already done that, so. It's having to get some obscure shit like Van Helsing and that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
But I think I got that one second guess. But I love Van Helsing. That's my
Jackman.
go.
Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman. Yeah. But you know, whenever it comes, ironically enough, I did an interview with our party barbarian, who is also a werewolf during the campaign. That was his backstory. Is that he came from a clan of werewolf hunters, was bitten, and was cast out instead of killed.
Oh
yeah.
That is some delicious backstory stuff that can always circle back, and I love that about.
We had a heartbreaking moment a couple months ago with him, because this poor dumb party, because we're idiots.
Except for you with the 20 intelligence.
No, that's a different campaign.
Oh, that's a different campaign.
So this campaign, I play the Dragonborn fighter with the 8 intelligence. So me hit good.
You hit real good. You hit real good. You hit fast.
Yeah. We have been thrown. I swear, I think we've time traveled twice. We have gone to another plane, come back, and once we've come back from that other plane, time has passed where it's only been like a day for us. So specifically, there was one where we came back and we were 4 years into the future. Another one where we went to Tartarus and came back and it was like 4 months down the line. So it's been roughly 5 or 6 years since everyone's origin story. So we find out that the cursed barbarian werewolf, his chief father had been praying to the moon goddess since the day he left. And we're like,
that would be us.
Oh my God. We were losing it. It was amazing. Beautiful. And honestly, there's only 3 of us out of this party of 6 or 7 that have any kind of theater experience. One of us, the DM, has gone to acting classes. The other 2 are pro wrestlers. Yes, like
get out of town.
No, 100%. 100%.
I love that so much. Oh my God, I need to play an Undertaker character. Oh wait, no, that's Macho Man Randy Savage.
Yes,
that's not Get over here.
No, 2 of us are pro wrestlers, so we're the only ones with theater experience, and some of this RP has been amazing.
Wait, why would you need theater experience for pro wrestling? Wait, what are you trying to tell me right now?
No, nothing that the internet won't tell you if you tell them you're a pro wrestling fan. Jerks.
The internet is a lovely cesspool of the worst aspects of humanity. So I mean, I would take whatever goes on there with a grain of salt.
I definitely do.
Good.
But no, after the 10th time of, it's fake. No, I figured it out. Thank you. When I was 13. Thank you.
Learning how to tumble. Yep.
Yeah. So since we're going back to the D&D, what is your go-to class? Because mine has changed. I realize I have played a fighter 3 or 4 times, so I'm like, I need to change this, and I need to play literally anything else. So in my 2 other campaigns outside of Dice Hard, I'm playing a gnome artificer who and steal this if you like. He doesn't so much wear his armor because he's an armor smith artificer as he does pilot it. Yep.
I love that. Full on Ridley Scott, Alien.
Kind of like oh no.
It was the cat. We're just gonna prop that back there. And I think the Keyblade's staying down here with me now.
That's safe. More kind of similar to the Men in Black alien inside the head, because for the longest time in the campaign, everyone only saw this part of my face.
And you were you like normal size?
6'5" armor.
I love that.
So everyone thinks I'm just this monster until it opens up and I hop out. Hi guys.
Love that. Absolutely. I mean, do you operate under the influence though, is the question. Like, are you like every time you guys hit up a tavern at the end of the adventure, do you have to leave the suit behind?
No. So it is very much he feels safe and comfortable in the suit. And only in the past maybe 10 sessions he's felt comfortable showing more people that he is in fact a gnome.
Walking down the streets, throwing open his armor.
Yep.
A la trench coat and all that good stuff. Yeah.
And then the other campaign, I'm playing a Dragonborn bard.
Oh yeah. Oh, and as you expressed before the show, bards are quite enjoyable. Hopefully my character survives long enough so I can really get into the good stuff with him. He's a College of Whispers bard because I decided to go full on. I mean, I'm hoping. I mean, the DM, the co-DMs, because we rotate in this new game. Co-DMs know Drakmir's deal, but like, I hope that none of the other players see this. But my new guy is he's got like a little bit of a subversive purpose going on. He works for this Illuminati type group called the Crown Maker's Court. Ooh. And what it is, it's a coalition of like agents and spies who want to kind of reset the board. Like there's a lot of monarchs and emperors and dukes and all this stuff that they don't want in power. So they want to do their best to cause a war so that they can put their people in charge. So my guy works for the Crown Maker's Court. Ooh. But so that might result in some issues down the road in regards to party dynamics, but I live for that. So, but back to your original question, what is my go-to class? And the short answer is that I don't have one. Like whenever I play, do you happen to play Apex or any of those kind of video games by any chance?
I've played Apex once or twice.
Okay. Well, any kind of game that's like Apex, where like or For Honor, where like there's characters that have specific abilities. Like, you know, you have the people like my friend who I play with who wants to just get good at one person. Like they want to get really, really good at one person, so they only play one person. I don't know if it's ADHD. I don't know if it's a short attention span. I don't know what it is. I can't do that. Like I always want to try as many different things as I can. So literally when an opportunity comes up to make a new character, which as a most of the time DM is hard.
It's very rare to get that opportunity.
I would say the one I enjoyed the most might have been actually even because of more of a homebrew mechanic as opposed to the actual functions of the race class. But I really, really enjoyed playing this alchemical artificer in this sci-fi campaign that I did for about a year concurrently with a couple other campaigns.
Nice.
And I played a German Draco Malfoy-esque high level intelligence, low charisma. Hans van Herren von Herren Industries. Perhaps you've met my father, Baron von Herren, and his wife Karen. And he had a little drone that he named Wilhelm, who would fly around and do all the reconnaissance for him. He he was, let's see, yeah, it was a complete, actually, you know what, let me grab something real quick, because it was another one of my friends DMing the married couple I told you of, and this was his campaign, and he's writing this one up as a novel as well.
Ooh.
This was simply called The Expedition.
I'm intrigued.
Yep. And they commissioned some artwork after the fact.
That's awesome.
This right here was his wife's character, Captain Charlie Chase. She was ex-Special Forces. She was a fighter gunslinger.
Nice.
Yep. This little ball right here was the DMPC, Click 6. He was basically a chromatic orb who was a cleric, and our little droid. And then this was Dr. Hans von Herren, who was a douche. And the funny thing about this campaign was that literally about a third of the way into the game, so like around session 17 or so, session 12, somewhere in that little niche, he accidentally became a BBEG.
No.
Yeah, like we were sent to this alternate dimension to do reconnaissance, to just observe and learn, like kind of Star Trek-ish, Stargate. But Hans had a lot of emotional and mental baggage that I wasn't even aware that he had when I first created him. And then the stimulus just kind of made sense. And there were these huge entities called the Guardians. And Hans thought that they were presenting themselves as gods, and that meant that they were holding back all the populace. So he wanted to bring down the Guardians instead of like sticking true to the mission.
Oh.
Accidentally set off a nuke, killed one of them, but he got better. So then Hans had to go away for a little while, and then I got to play an Aekrokra monk named Yiram. He was of the Phoenix Path, and he worked for one of the Guardians. He was a really, really old huck. Like seriously, they don't get as old as I was. And he was really, really fun to play. But unfortunately, 9 sessions in, he got smushed. Got absolutely smushed in this huge boss battle. And so I couldn't bring back Hans yet. So then I got to play my third character in this campaign, Tabaxi Rogue. And her name was Kichara Hara. She just went by Kit for short. And she was one of those kind of typical anime girls, because she was always concocting these large fantasies in her head. Yep, but of course it was absolutely insane. Eventually Hans did get his redemption arc, which was great, because then I got to finish the campaign with him. But no, my DM did the worst thing to me in that game. He made me have split personality disorder.
Oh no.
So when Hans did come back, he wasn't just Hans. He was Hans, and he was Elka, and he was Fritz, and he was Jaeger. So I had to come up with 4 different variations of my German accent, playing all these different characters in one body. And he would just say, okay, go to your mind palace and you should have a conversation with yourself. And I just look at, you're gonna make me role play this, aren't you? He says, yes. Hans, we've been awfully late for you. Elka, not now, please. Did I do good in the last battle, Hans? Yes, Fritz, you did great. I thought it could have done better. It was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. That's and I loved every second of it. But yeah, that was a headache of a campaign. And my God, a masterwork. He was amazing.
No, ours, for at least for the Dice Hard campaign, he is a master at just pulling strings. Good. And good. Loves. I hate him every week for it. He's gotten so many explicit texts after sessions.
And that's how you know you've done a good job.
That's exactly what he says. That, he's tugged on this heartstring, or he plays with his food when it comes to this person's backstory. I'm legitimately terrified for our warlock, because answer me this. How do you sell your soul 3 times?
Well, if you have multiple personality disorder, maybe. But
So poor the warlock's name is Corellos. He's a tiefling. Poor Corellos.
A tiefling warlock. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Math checks out. So made a deal with his original patron. Then realized, oh, I don't like this deal. I don't want to be a part of this.
He switched patrons.
Oh, it gets better. Don't worry. It gets better. So he finds this magic cloak and a sarcophagus, which the entire party goes, no, we don't want to touch that. He goes, I put it on.
Great choice. What
come to find out, it is another warlock patron. So its name is it can't speak it in common, so he just calls it Shroud. So Shroud gives him his warlock abilities and hides him from his original patron. Well, then our poor warlock, what was it? The deck of needful things decided
the deck of many things, or like
I think in this case it was needful things. I don't remember.
Things. Okay, I haven't heard this one, but it could be a great variation.
Similar, but a variation. Draws a card, and literally all of his possessions vanish,
including Shroud,
including his clothing. He is just standing there as naked as the day he was created.
Oh no!
And we go, uh-oh. So then we find out. Well, he finds out that a character who's been an NPC this whole time is actually a succubus in disguise and has been a succubus for the whole time that we've known her.
Of course.
And asks, hey, I'm in a predicament. Can I borrow some of your powers? And so she says yes. So he is on his third patron, and we want to see what the next one's gonna be.
Oh no! And meanwhile, the original patrons now that Shroud's gone, the original patrons probably on the prowl.
Mm-hmm. 100%. He has almost killed the party twice because he has sent a chain devil and a chain ghost after us.
Oh, chain devils! Those are beastly creep, especially if you like the DM remembers to actually use the animated chains ability.
Oh, he did.
Just gets good for him. I didn't remember to do that when I ran a chain devil against my players, but oh my gosh. Oh, yeah. Bone devils too. Bone devils are also terrifying, but chain devils are scary in their own right.
Chain devils actually one of the best moments in the entire campaign, because one of our former players, she played the Ranger, and she was brand new to D&D, didn't know anything about D&D.
Okay.
At this point, she had gotten some experience, but still definitely thought outside of the D&D box. So she decided, because the fighter and the barbarian right in its face, she goes, is there any chandeliers above this thing in the building that we're fighting it in?
I want to swing.
And the GM goes, yeah, there's a very large ornate one above it. I want to shoot the chain. Let's loose the arrow. Nat 20.
Beautiful.
Tink drops the chandelier on both party members and the chain devil.
So half success.
It succeeded in taking a very healthy chunk out of the chain devil. It only lasted maybe like 2 more turns.
How about the party members?
After we picked the glass out of our scales, we were fine. But that was the running gag from that point on, that definitely watch out for chandeliers.
Sorry, I didn't mean to get distracted there. My Merry Massacre just threw a paper airplane at me from. Look what's inside.
I'm intrigued.
It is an envelope with a little panda face on it. Am I supposed to open this? It looks like she sent me a little concerned face.
Aw.
Is that not what that is? It's a party face? Oh, it's one of those. things. I thought it was I thought it was like
Oh, yeah. No, I get where you're coming from.
Yep. No, it's definitely it's a party face. Okay, cool. Well, that was a. I said, Fifi, make sure you stay in your room. She's, like I said, she's precocious. She does her own thing, but wouldn't trade it for the world.
No, she's gonna end up being the bane of some other players because she's gonna end up deeming one day.
Oh yeah, and she's gonna have years of experience to draw on. The funniest thing about her original character is that the Mary Massacre is that we've had her become a reoccurring joke in our campaigns. Because whenever my daughter would have to go visit her mother, the unicorns from the Feywild would bamf back into the material plane and take Mary with them to go do a separate adventure. And then that way, whenever my daughter came back, the unicorns would say, okay, we've had enough of her. Please take her back. So after the conclusion of the campaign, when we were doing all of our epilogues, our what happened in the end, and Rokir did get a good ending, by the way, though he did die. Like, he was a human who had married an elf, so like he's like, oh well, we knew this was coming. My daughter simply said, oh, Mary just travels to different dimensions, and that's what she does. And we're like, okay. So every so often, exactly. So every so often in one of the campaigns we do, there will just be a green-skinned, red-haired, half elf, half goblin just popping in, causing absolute chaos. Maybe giving my daughter's new character the same invisible ring of invisibility.
Oh my goodness!
In the first campaign, and it's a fun little joke. So. Yeah.
That's amazing. Speaking of recurring jokes, we have an NPC who I, as the player, love every time he shows up. It gives me life. My character is going to kill him. His name is Tawny Willowbeard. Tawny is the owner of Tawny's Tasty Tonics to tantalize the taste buds.
Say that again.
I can't. that is
Tawny's
the only
tonics that tantalize the taste buds.
Yes. So Tawny is a traveling salesman who sells magic alcohol that always goes horribly wrong.
Of course it does, though.
And every time he shows up, I'm just like, damn it, I am going to murder him.
I have to get one.
While the player is just going, yes, Tawny's back. Let's see, what's the craziest things he's done? He's turned our barbarian into a chicken.
Okay.
He plagued our fighter with visions of red caps that walked around and sang while they followed him.
Okay.
He accidentally gave our cleric a familiar.
Oh, well, that doesn't sound so bad.
It's come in handy, but it was a 100% luck of the roll on that one.
Gotcha.
He for a temporary time plagued our warlock with the haste spell. So everything for him went in slow motion while he zoomed around.
Oh, while running from his patron, that's probably helpful.
Yeah, ironically enough. So I cannot wait for Tawny's next appearance. And my brother wants to play Tawny in a campaign. I was like, I need to be in that campaign. Please.
Alchemical Artificer.
Please.
Alchemical Artificer. Or
100%.
Path of the Drunken Fist monk. Path of the Drunken Fist. There we go.
He can multi-class.
Oh, why not? I will say that I don't understand why more people don't multi-class, because that just, or let me rephrase that. I don't understand why people don't multi-class for the fun role-playing experiences, as opposed to those people who not to yuck the yum of the people who play D&D to be the best at it. Like,
right.
If that is how you enjoy the game, fantastic. I love that for you. I don't love that at my table. And I myself don't love doing that, because it's like playing a game with a cheat mode. Like
Right.
RPGs aren't fun if you're God, if you're running
Right.
around and like, oh, can never hit me. So yeah, like even though a barbarian and a paladin makes next to no sense to multi-class, it was an insanely fun aspect because like part of the oath was giving up the alcohol, and it was like, oh, I really want to drink right now, but I also like my shiny smash. And or oh gosh, what was the most recent one? It was like it was a death domain cleric and a bard.
Fascinating.
And he was a kobold, so he was it was Eddie Redscale. He was a no, he was a hoot. He was a hoot. He died very quickly.
Oh,
but
no.
yeah, it was a one shot that was run by one of my law professors. Actually, I won a online auction to go to a session DM'd by him, and he put us on a train. And I played with a lot of first time players, and I probably wasn't as patient as I could have been with a few of the new players. That's on me. That is 100% on me. But like one hit ponies, like, or not one hit ponies, one hit wonders. There we go. One trick pony.
One trick pony, one hit wonders. No mix and match.
One hit pony. Yep. Now the Dragon
That's going to be a thing now, by the way. Thank you.
God.
I'm going to keep that, but I won't make you suffer for it.
Oh, thank you. Hashtag one hit pony.
One hit pony.
Yeah. Anyway, but point, yeah, it's that for me. As the theater kid, it's all about the role play. Like I love combat. I love being effective in combat. I love coming up with clever scenarios. But it's about the role play. It's about writing a story with your friends.
Absolutely. I really, when it comes to, so coming back to Quincy, my gnome artificer, he had, see, it's funny because I have a lot of like my personal anxiety. So whenever someone tells me that I did a good job, I will either go, wow, thank you, that means a lot, or no, they're just blowing smoke and they're lying to me. How dare they? Because Quincy has gone on the most interesting personality arc, we'll call it that I've ever been a part of, because he is not anything like me. Quincy is tiny and super intelligent. I am 6'2", very
and
bulky. Me hit good. I am not super intelligent. So Quincy is. He started as the quiet, nerdy type that was going to be like the tech guy for the party. Quickly evolved into I'm surrounded by idiots. Thought he was smarter than the BBEG. By the way, this is all during a Curse of Strahd playthrough.
Oh,
so decided to talk some smack to Strahd.
Oh God.
Yeah.
You know, if there's a BBEG to engage in that friendly banter with, I imagine that Strahd is one of the more not immediately horrible repercussion. No, am I right? Sounds like I might be wrong.
Generally, you would be correct. In Quincy's case, he got thrown into the ethereal plane. And I didn't find that out until a week after, by the way. I asked the DM on a scale of 1 to roll a new character, how screwed am I? She goes, we'll find out next week. It's going to be 7 days. I have to think about this. Thank you. So after Quincy got out of the ethereal plane, he was terrified of everything. Because of course he was. He just was basically dead and came back and got to see the other side.
Yep.
So then my DM decided to put Quincy on the path of redemption, where his family is actually part of Barovia and fought Strahd. So we found their castle and their kingdom, and everyone kept saying that the bravest, his name is Quincy Sotar, the bravest Sotar will break the curse. So everyone looks at Quincy and he goes,
not me.
Not me. I am not the bravest. I am just the only one here. So then, and I, as the player, I loved it. I loved every second of it because I had to lean hard against it.
Oh, of
and
course.
The party, God bless them, kept egging it on. Every time they're like, yeah, this is Quincy, the bravest Sotar. And I'm like, shut up. I am not the brave. Eventually becoming the bravest.
I mean, if there were no other Sotars around, then by definition.
See, someone had that exact train of thought. They're like, technically you are. So then once his arc was redeemed, he
accepted
the title, and now he is a lord. And became he went from Quincy Sotar, Artificer Extraordinaire, to Lord Quincy Sotar, Artificer Extraordinaire, bravest of the Sotar.
Are you gonna get a business card made?
Not with that much font.
I'm just saying, if Lord Quincy Sotar of the Artificer Extraordinaire, bravest Sotar ever, is really feeling himself nowadays, it seems like that's the sort of thing that needs to be memorialized in a plaque. Oh, that actually reminds me of a really, really great story. If you don't mind,
hear it. Please.
So my first DMing campaign was 10 months into my D&D experience in general. Well, technically it wasn't the first. I did a backstory one shot with me and another friend based on the campaign that we were doing. And my daughter actually bypassed the dungeon that I had spent hours exhaustively making. Like, seriously, it was a beautiful multi-tiered mansion with all these traps and yeah, exactly.
There it is. Yep. Days since campaigns derailed.
Yeah. And they get to outside, and my daughter's character at the time goes, well, so the boss is up on that balcony way up there? And I go, yeah, to go through the mansion. She goes, or I could just use spider climb. Go. Anyway, so that was my first experience DMing. But the second experience DMing,
it's wonderful.
It was horrible, but I loved it. It was a great lesson too. It was a really good lesson early on. But it was a Lord of the Rings campaign. Because I was scared I knew I didn't want to do a module for my first actual campaign, but I also didn't want to homebrew an entire world because I was still very, very new. So I was like, okay, what's something that I know?
That's fair.
Lord of the Rings.
Right.
And then at that point in time, I was like, when? And we chose a time period between 30 years after The Hobbit, but 30 years before Lord of the Rings.
Ooh, okay.
That way I could still play with like all of the pertinent members, and there were a lot of different cameos throughout the year. My Gandalf impression came out so many times, and it was great. But yeah, this campaign lasted for it was just shy of 2 years. Like, it was a year and 11 months, and it was absolutely beautiful. It started at level 5, took them all the way to like level 16. It was fantastic. But one of my players, and she was the DM in the last game, was a bard, a halfling bard, Eleonora Took. So she was a pseudo niece of Bilbo Baggins, and she had pre-painted this little halfling mini that had the red hair, and because she didn't have silver, she had made the daggers gold. And she said, "Hey, can my character have gold daggers?" And I went, "Yeah, sure. What I had not clued her into at the time was that I was going to curse these daggers.
Oh, no.
So about 8 sessions in, she activates the curse of the first dagger. And she spends the next 20 sessions fighting with the ghost that lives in this dagger, Fengel's Fang. The ghost that possessed this dagger was Fengel the Foul, which was the grandfather of Theoden, so a previous king of Rohan. I did play a little bit with Tolkien's lore. Like, I stayed true to a lot of things, though in the end it did become a lot more eldritch horror-y than Lord of the Rings. But that's neither here nor there. But so Fangle the Fowl and Eleanor Tooth would butt heads consistently. Like he would always be trying to take over her body. And he would, whenever he would get these instances of taking over, he would do terrible things like destroying her musical instrument or having her attack this guy that was a prisoner. Just all this crazy stuff. And eventually, though, when the party made their way to Rohan, she started to experience flashes of Fangle's life. And he went from this terrible Fangle the Fowl, terrible character that she detested, to seeing that, oh wow, he actually was the best of his brothers and his father, and he actually was trying to do great stuff for his kingdom. So why is he such a jerk to me? And there was this whole huge backstory side quest. Where basically he had decided that the only way to protect his people was to become this ruthless creature. And the reason he wanted to take over her body was so that he could go back to Rohan and look after his grandson and try to see his son and all this other stuff. But because she was a bard and because it was Lord of the Rings, I didn't do straight magic. I encouraged non-really magical things. So I always had a pseudo-rational explanation. But one of Eleanor's special abilities was that she was able to discern the song in the soul of an individual. And if she was able to succeed in all these checks to discern that song, then she would get like advantage on persuasion, or she would be able to even do like low-level commands on them and that kind of stuff. Well, my friend actually plays violin. She's a very talented musician. Nice. And she wrote a song for Fangle. And so finally their relationship had reached this massive clash point where Eleonora understood why Fangle was doing what he was doing, and she was trying to help him along. And so he was trying to kind of chill the F out a little bit. Mm-hmm. And they had this conversation, and my player said, and Eleanor plays this for him. And she plays this song that she had pre-recorded on the violin that she had made herself. And I was absolutely dumbfounded. I was absolutely floored. Like I was crying by the end of it. And I had to sit there.
I'm almost in tears right now.
Yeah,
oh my God.
I won't lie. Like I have it called up on my phone. If you want to hear that, I can send it to you later if you like. But it was like 40 seconds long. And then, still in character, my player looks to me as Eleanor and she says, "The song doesn't have to end that way." And that was it right there. And I said, "Okay, you win. You win." And at that point in time, Fangle then became kind of like a spiritual ally. What was absolutely sad then was that Eleonora died by drowning. And even though Fangle had tried to help her get there, they ended up on the gray shores, because in that space between life and death. And Fangle gave up his eternity to turn her into a revenant for 1 year to complete her task, or to find a way to come back entirely. But he said, just you've done more in the past few months than I did in my entire life as a king. So take my eternity for 1 year. And he faded into nothingness, and she came back as a revenant, which, by the way, never do that. never
get
your players
into a revenant.
Because they are ridiculously overpowered, and I did not realize she was not a revenant for very long. She found the method pretty darn quickly after those sessions where she was a revenant, though. Holy crap. But anyway, so circling back to the whole purpose of this, Christmas rolls around, and I love to we're a family. Like the people we play D&D, we're a family. And my sister owns a printing shop, basically. Okay. And so I had her print out a wooden sign with a large hand holding a smaller hand with the inscription, "The song doesn't have to end that way, Eleanor too." And it's hanging in our D&D den.
That's amazing.
So yeah, so that's honestly one of my absolute favorite moments as a DM and one of my favorite moments as like a collaborative storyteller, just because she blew me away. She 100% blew me away. It's just sad that Fangle never got the chance to shine. Oh well, that's the game.
Woo.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
Yep. Take what you're feeling right now and multiply it with 6 months.
Oh my goodness. No, so I can attest to how good, not how good a DM my brother is, because he's a really good DM, and I'm not trying to brag on him. How well done a story can be. There we go. That's the right way to say that. Specifically, when our ranger had her character arc, it was about finding her sister, and this it was a Rakshasa that was chasing her in her dreams, and it we found her sister. Her sister joined us when we went to fight it, and we almost beat it until it dimension doored away and kidnapped her sister.
No.
Yes. Now her sister is an NPC.
Right.
We all went to work the next day broken. And
that's always a fun thing to explain at work. Yeah. Jay, why are you so sad? My imaginary character's friend has gotten it.
Yeah. You
don't get it.
Legitimately, we were destroyed. We're like, and we kept going back to that point, like, oh my God, we could have done more. I wish I could have, rolled higher on this attack. And then we're like, she's not a person. She's not one of the players who lost a character. She is an NPC. And that is just the connection that D&D has with people.
The power of the game. Yep.
Is just amazing.
Mm-hmm. It's a great exploration of the human condition.
Absolutely.
It's cheaper than therapy. Actually, with the amount of minis I bought and the 3D printer that I got.
How many sets of dice do I own?
I've been eyeing the D12.
Oh, thank you.
Back there, like that is beautiful. That's a thing of.
I found that at GameStop, and it goes great with my my D&D mug that's actually in the other room. It's a golden skull with a little crown around the top of it. Is so cool. People who've watched the stream have seen the picture. I'll send you a picture afterwards.
Please do.
You can find it at GameStop, so keep an eye out. Right. I bought that, and it's so cool. But yeah, I don't know if D&D is cheaper than therapy, because I've spent a lot of money on D&D.
Annuals, minis, dice.
Yeah.
In some instances, cosplay items that you then dress up into intimidate your players.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Or 100% dress up as to get into character for your dinner with Strahd, because I bought ears for Quincy. Okay, so tell me this, because it seems to happen in every freaking campaign I'm in. When something small is brought up or is mentioned, and then it just spirals into a life of its own. So specifically, Quincy the gnome, it was like the third or fourth session, one of the characters said that their character was smoking. So I decided at that point that Quincy had a pipe that he always had. Eventually, I got a real wooden pipe just to help with the RP, and I'll twiddle it, like when he's thinking or if he's like deep in thought. Then it became Quincy's crutch. Whenever he was stressed out, you just hear just these long puffs of smoke. Like, Quincy, are you good? Yep, I'm good.
Tobacco or pipe weed?
Just tobacco.
Oh, okay.
He is smart enough to creep. But yeah, like it spiraled into a character trait.
Mm-hmm.
Like, does that ever happen in your games or with your characters? Just these little things that bloom into.
that was what happened to Hans with his whole anti-establishment with the Guardians and the. I mean, it became a small detail because an NPC said, "Oh, let's see, it was a Bangladesh, which meant it had an Indian accent. Yes, we make these pilgrimages and then we bring the servings to the Guardians, and that did not sit right with my character in that moment. And then I was like, oh, you know what? His older brother, who was also a scientist, was trying to find a way to link religion and science together, and he still has his brother's journal, but he doesn't want to be a copy of his brother. So instead, he's anti-Guardian, and just that little thing
spiraled out of control.
Spiraled immensely out of control. Till it was, yeah, I'm gonna wear like the mask of the bad guys and say I'm their second coming, and yeah, down with the establishment.
My goodness.
No, spiraling happens, and it's a real problem, and there needs to be more public awareness of this. Careful of making small details with your characters; they will come for you.
Yep. Oh my goodness, poor. I think the one that it didn't so much spiral out of control as bad, thank goodness, but it was Torin, the Dragonborn fighter. He owed one person a debt.
Oh no.
And paid off that debt relatively quick in the campaign, but then it became Torin doesn't have any money. And from that point on, everyone will just give Torin a hard time. But do you owe this one money? Do you need me to spot you? No, I have 500 gold.
I'm
Leave
good
me
this
alone.
time. I swear. Oh wait, I had 500 gold. Where did I? Oh right, I paid that person back.
Exactly.
Yep.
Every time.
Cliches build a character, but then just taking that extra step to really mold the cliche or twist it to just become a unique trait is the fun of fleshing out a character.
Absolutely. So I'll boil this down to my last question because we've been going at it and I love it.
Oh, holy cow. Yeah, you're right.
But if we keep going, we're going to be here all night. And
yep.
Whew. So with all of these wonderful D&D moments, and that shouldn't work taking them, how is TikTok and how is being this, we can call it this D&D influencer, affected your outside life outside of the
yeah. I'll say that the D&D, well, no, because they're D&D thirst traps. So that's
oh no.
Yeah. No, like we're talking like the whole hey, roll for initiative type deal. Sorry, I shouldn't have done that when you've taken a swig. Like careful.
No. Well done.
Yeah, well, perfect. How it's affected my real life. I would say that it's impacted my wallet more than anything else. Simply because, like, I'll be scrolling through D&D, through D&D. I'll be scrolling through TikTok, and I follow quite a few other D&D creators, and someone will just like, hey, I got this for and I'm like, I need that. I wouldn't have known about that otherwise. But as for like recognition in my offline world, I'm in fairly rural Maine, so there's not a whole lot of populace of like running into individuals, and a lot of my classmates at the law school I attend are aware of my content. Most of them are the uninitiated, so they do not play D&D. So it's like, oh, that's cute. You talk about a game, and the ones who do know are like, dude, seriously, why'd you do that movie? And I'm like, okay, you know what? You give me a better suggestion next time. But I would say that as with the mild flavor of my content, there hasn't really been any negative repercussions.
Well, that's good.
Which I am thankful for, because one of the things that I am always mindful of is that I do want to make sure that anything I'm putting out there, I would be totally okay with like if my grandmother was still alive, would she be okay seeing this?
Right.
Granted, I didn't really like my grandmother that much. She didn't like me, so it's a pretty low bar. Or how would I feel about a potential employer seeing this? And I feel like we do thankfully live in a much more tolerant age in regards to individuals' hobbies.
Yeah.
They might wonder why I'm waving a lightsaber shirtless in a couple of these videos. But hey, it was a trend, and it was Dad Bod Appreciation Week, so I was feeling myself. What can I say? But no, all in all, TikTok has introduced me to a wide range of different kinds of communities and introduced me to knowledge that I never would have even thought to look for on my own. So I'm grateful to the app for that. Not to speak ill of the clock, but there are definitely some practices on that app that I do find questionable, and I don't know if that's due in part to U.S. administrators. I don't know if it's the Chinese originators. I don't know what the problem is, but there is a large section of silencing those who have legitimate messages versus the alternative. There's a lot of body shaming that goes on the app, and a lot of promoting certain things among minors that I am wildly uncomfortable with. And this isn't me being an old man going, "Oh, get off my lawn." It's like, I'm sorry, if you're 14 and you have men in their 20s, men in their 30s, men in their 40s commenting on you from across the world of like, "Oh, hey, want to come visit me?" and that kind of stuff. Like, and you're not moderating that.
Yeah.
But you're going to moderate a woman who's a little heavier, walking around in a bikini that covers substantially more than like other people, and you're gonna block that video, but you're not gonna block the 14. Okay, so it's not a perfect platform, but there's no such thing as a perfect platform, and that's part of what I'm studying. I'm studying at the law school, but I do think I've gotten more out of it than not. So, sorry, that was a weird convoluted.
No, I appreciate your input and your opinions, and you know, it's interesting.
Well, thank you, Jay, and I've thoroughly enjoyed our conversation.
Oh, this has been an absolute blast. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for coming on. Of course, everyone can find you on the fun TikTok app. Any other platforms that you use that you try to push on? Promote. That's the right word.
I'm technically on Instagram as well as D and Daddy Official. Because once again, I don't know how I was able to get this name. It seemed like it was one of those things that was just there and no one grabbed it. I'm like, what the hell? But okay, cool. I'll be the D and Daddy. I don't mind. Yeah, no, I took the name because I'm a dad who plays D&D.
Right.
I didn't mean it as like
you didn't mean it the other way. You didn't mean it the other way.
Definitely grown into that, and with some of my posts, but neither here nor there. I am technically on Instagram. I'm trying to figure out how to do Twitch. I'm trying to figure that out because we've got cameras, we've got microphones, and we've got some talented players, but we're all kind of technologically inept and we're all parents. So timing is always a challenge.
Yes.
But what are you going to do?
Well, I can talk to you offline of how we run our games, and maybe I can help there. But I'll definitely add the TikTok and the Instagram links in the description. But thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Jay.
Absolute pleasure. To everyone watching and listening, thank you so much for joining us. We greatly appreciate it. And as always, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, tap the little bell on your YouTube app so you never miss an upload, and buy the shirts at prowrestlingtees.com. And we will see you next time.